Peace, family. Welcome to Black Star TV 2.0. It's your boy Black Star, and today we're going to get into Dr. Claude Anderson. We want to say happy birthday and shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson for all the work you have done for the community and all the material you have put out for the community. Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, Dirty Little Secrets, more Dirty Little Secrets, and a Black Reader. I believe that's the name of the book. Um, so if you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, make sure y'all hit the like button. Even if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the like button. And thank y'all for being here today with me as we celebrate Dr. Claude Anderson's birthday. And I want to start off with one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Claude Anderson, which is racism is a competitive relationship between groups of people who are competing for ownership of resources, control of wealth, and power. That's what his definition of racism and how he defines racism in the society. And he says true racism exists only when one group has a disproportionate share of the wealth and power over another group, then uses those resources to marginalize, exploit, exclude, and subordinate the weaker group. So this is what we define as racism. And it's a good definition to me for the simple fact that a lot of people use racism or call a person a racist as someone who just don't like you, or maybe a white person was like, oh, I hate these N words, these ninjas, and then we like to call them a racist. But really, in reality, racism is systematic. It's institutional. You feel me? You have institutional racism and things like that. So when people are calling you out your name or being a bigot or using racial epithets, that's prejudice. It's more of a prejudice thing. So they like to misconstrue that, so we can't really define who the true racist is, because in that definition right there is already going to tell you it's a group of people, not just one person. It's a group of people. So, and again, with that definition, black people cannot be racist because we don't own and control no resources in the country. But I want to get into this, and I want to show some clips so I can commemorate my brother for his birthday. And yes, he's definitely my favorite scholar of all time. I love Dr. Claude Anderson. When I was in prison in Oregon, and I started this African American program in Warner Creek Correctional Facility in 2018, when I started, it ain't implemented to 2019. And I ordered from the we did a little fundraiser or whatever, and from the fundraiser money, I was like, yo, we're gonna buy the Dr. Claude Anderson Powernomics. He had a set, like it was a whole set, DVDs, everything, and we brung it in, and they was like, man, they sat down with me and the president. I forgot his name, but shout out to that brother. I forgot your name, fam. But yeah, so we sat down and he made us watch it. I'm like, I don't know why you're making me watch it, because I done seen every single thing it is. Like, that's the reason why I wanted it. So he was sitting down. He's like, I don't know about this. It's very divisive. I'm like, nah, it ain't divisive. He's showing black people how we should be moving. Like, if you don't want us to come back here, you feel what I'm saying? If that's really the plan of us not coming back here, unless, you want recidivism, you will let these brothers watch this man and learn from this man, because Powernomics is nothing but a black national plan for black people. You feel what I'm saying? So he was like, yeah, it's just kind of, it's so funny, right? Because I remember he's like, it really gives me Farrakhan vibes. And I lied. And I was like, he don't even like Farrakhan. After that, he was pretty much on board with it. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Which is crazy. But Dr. Claude Anderson, I believe he loved Louis Farrakhan. So that was some BS. But that already just goes to show you how powerful, because he watched all of it. Mr. Stancliffe, I'll never forget his name though. I never forget the white people's name. I might forget my brother's name, but I ain't gonna forget these white people who was, going against the grain. And I remember the first day we played Powernomics, one of the DVDs, and they was talking about he was talking about the natives slaved us. Yo, and when we was playing this, because usually when things is playing, you in jail, you playing a movie, people always talking. I'm talking about it was dead silent in there. Everybody was glued to the TV, listening and kept hanging on to everything he was saying. And I remember when it was over, my boy from Cali, little short boy with dread, long ass dreads, and he was like, yo, that's why the natives be acting like that. He was like, yo, that's why they always rocking, because it was very segregated in the prison. You know, white sat with the whites, black sat with the blacks, natives sat with the natives, just so on and so forth. You know, the Pacific Islanders sat with each other, and but you know, the native resonated. They used to always chill with the white boys a lot, and I'm like, damn. Well, I already knew that because I seen the video, but I remember the first thing he said when the video stopped, and like soon as this thing was over and we was about to go, he's like, yo, that's why the natives be acting like that. That's why they always rotting with the white boys like that. He's like, man, that's some move. And I was just like, damn. But yo, they was taking all in. I remember the next meeting, it was more dude. People like, yo, I want to come. And you know what I mean? So we just kept watching them, and yo, they was loving it. But let me get into this real quick. I'm gonna share my screen with y'all and get into what I want to get into. So I want to show the first Dr. Claude joint. This is one of my favorites, so we're gonna watch this.
Floor is always economics, because racism is economics. Racism has nothing to do with who you like, who you don't like. It has nothing to do with it. The only way they beat up on you now is because they know you don't have any economics. You don't have a basis beneath you. When they drag you to shooting black folk, they're not shooting you because you're black. They're shooting you because of your social economic condition. You're powerless. They know the only thing you're going to do, they shoot 20 blacks tomorrow. All thing you're going to do is go out and march. That's all you're going to do. They know that. You have no power and wealth. You build that business community and you build factories and industries in there. And you produce wealth and money and income. Then you take that wealth and money and income and you use it to benefit and lift your people. And you use it also to take the surplus capital and you go to the second floor in that 5-story building. On the second floor in that 5-story building, that's politics. That's politics. That's where your politicians are. Quit letting people mislead you about voting. Voting ain't worth a damn if you don't have an economy. I have run political campaigns for presidents, for governors, for attorney generals, for congressional people, for mayors, and city council people. Politics, voting and politics ain't worth a quarter in voting if you don't have an economy. It's money that controls your politics. You take your money on that first floor in the powernomics concepts that I'm trying to get y'all to buy into. You take that money off the first floor, you buy every politician on the second floor. Don't worry about voting, buy them. Be just like the mafia. Be like the mafia. Just buy them. If you can't, you don't have enough money to buy them, then rent or lease them for a while. You rent and lease them. Then you commission him and say, now on this second floor, now that I bought you, just like this next election, you can see all this money going into all these candidates, billions and millions of dollars. They're buying those politicians. You buy them on the second floor. And then you tell them on the second floor, now, down to the powernomics principles, I bought your rear end. You now take your rear end to the third floor. And on the third floor, that's your court system. I don't care whether it's the Supreme Court or the local superior courts, or county courts, or city courts, or state courts. You buy them. If you tell them on that second floor in the court system, you start taking care of my people and doing right. The courts control the police department. The third floor is the courts and the police department. The police department would not be killing your people and shoot them down if they knew that you had an economy underneath you. They're going to pull that. How many of you seen police shooting down Jews, for instance, running? How many times have they been shooting down Asians? How many times have you seen heard shooting down American Indians? They only shoot down black folk. You don't have an economy to dictate to the police department or to the court system. Then once you dictate to them, you take that money off the first floor, you go to the fourth floor. Your fourth floor is your media. You all got to start producing media in these communities and take that money and start going into buying media. You got about 12,000 radio stations in the United States, about 12,000 cable systems in the United States, about 5,000 daily newspapers in the United States, and about 5,000 also What did I miss? Television stations. You own nothing. Out of 12,000 radio stations, you probably now own about 60 or 70. Out of cable system, you don't own any, not one. Television station, you used to own one out of 5,000. Daily newspaper, you don't own anything. Not one daily newspaper. How in the world can you communicate? How in the world can you mobilize your people when you don't own the media to get in touch with them and tell them what to do? If you right now try to promote something for black folk, most media will not even carry it. Most white corporations won't even buy tickets or ads to help you do it. If you have a black radio station, you cannot have black media unless you got black businesses. Because you need the advertising dollars to keep the business, keep the radio station, the media going. The people say, why can't we own some radio? Because you don't have any businesses to buy the ads. Whites aren't going to buy it. But you get white racists on TV and on the radio. You get the Rush Limbaughs or the Hannitys or the O'Reillys on the Fox channel. That whole Fox channel is loaded down with racists. But they get the advertising dollars to stay on the air. You know why? Because you give them the money. I don't see that black folk in America renegotiate their relationships. When did you renegotiate your relationship with white corporations? Saying that if I see you supporting the Fox channel on this negative stuff about black folk, you'll never get another dollar out of the black America. You won't do it. You should be doing it. Y'all should be sending letters on every chance you get and calling them, let's say any white person on any of the Fox channel out here saying something that implies or suggests or intimate that black folk are stupid, lazy, and dumb and criminal, we will shut off every dollar coming into your company. They're not scared of you. They got your money for granted. They know they're going to get your dollar because they know you don't have any businesses to buy from. You don't have any alternative places to go get your gasoline, like in Detroit, Michigan, where Arabs took over 144 out of 146 gas stations. You don't own and control anything. You're dependent on them. They say, we ain't worried about the black folk. They don't have any choice but to come give us their money. We'll kick their butts and they still got to give us their money. And the same thing is true with politics. The Republican Party don't need...
That's why he's saying that economics is supposed to be the base of everything. Because as long as your economics right, you don't have to rely on anybody for anything. And you can control your resources that way.
So they know they got you locked in box. They know you're going to belong to the Democratic Party. Democratic Party said, we got you locked in box and we don't need you either. Because you see, my people, your leadership has not got enough intellectual credulity and internal fortitude and common sense to say, hey, let's not support either one of the parties.
Right.
Let's create. You all could be the most powerful people in this nation within 1 or 2 years if you did one single thing. If you withdrew publicly from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and said, we don't need either one of you. We're going to create a black independent party. And in that black independent party, we're going to trick you all because we're not going to run any candidates. I wouldn't run any candidates. I would create me a black independent party. I wouldn't run not one candidate. But I would say this. We're going to vote as a block.
Yes, sir.
You're going to get 43 million black votes. And we will deliver that 43 million black votes to whoever promises most and delivers the most to black folk. We don't care what political party you belong to. We don't care whether you're a black person, a white candidate, a pink candidate, a yellow candidate, or just an outright Sambo. We don't care. We will vote for anybody who will deliver and promises the most to black folk. That's the way you play politics. And I guarantee you, from all my years in running campaigns, every politician would knock down anything to get to your door. He said, you know what? If I deliver something to black folk, I can pick up 43 million black votes. Hell, I don't need a lot of people. I only need it. I'll be there. Even though Hispanics have bypassed you in population, might have about 43 or 45 million Hispanics in the United States, their turnout rate is only 20%. You still got them beat.
You still vote more than any person.
Hispanics may have picked up the population, but they don't have the voting capacity yet.
Yeah.
You can deliver and become the most powerful people in this country if you started voting as an independent bloc. It said we move as a group. We move as a fist rather than fingers. And we'll stay together and we'll take care of each other, we buy from each other, we support each other, and we look after each other, and we make our dollars bounce in our community on that first floor. We'll make it circulate 8 to 12 times before it leaves black hands. Hispanic money in America bounces 6 to 7 times in the Hispanic community all over LA. White money bounces 8 to 12 times. Asian and Arab money bounces 13 to 14 times. Jewish money bounces 18 times. Right now, black money doesn't bounce once because you're committing social economic suicide. You can be the most powerful people if you learn how to organize and play as a team. Now, doing that, now the last floor, then I'll do the other part. Last floor is the 5th floor. The 5th floor is education. Don't keep going out telling black folk that our future rests in education. It is not. Education is about as useless as the black vote. It's about as useless and as wasted as a black vote if you don't have what? An economy. You can educate these black kids, they have no place to go and use it. Education is a tool, just like a hammer and a saw. I got all kind of black kids graduating from school every year with all kind of degrees. Master's degrees in this, master's degrees in that, and they can't master a damn thing. Because they ain't no place to go. Whites don't need them in their business and don't want them. So you're educating your kids to get an education and leave your community, go to somebody else's community, look for somebody else's business, work at somebody else's job, producing the wealth, power, and resources. What's the difference between that and a slave? You're still in the same spot. You should be saying, go on and get an education and come back home to our community and build things for us. And rather than going out looking for jobs, make your organizations, both whether religious or civil, make your politicians teach black folk how to produce jobs, not look for jobs. And we're doing that now by going to the last point, and that's called exceptionality. We do that by telling everybody, tell all your politicians from this day forward, we heard Dr. Anderson speak. And what he says from now on is that we're not going to play the game anymore. We're going to stop doing what we've been doing in terms of inappropriate behavior. We're not against anybody. I don't want you all to hate anybody. I don't want you all to be against Hispanics, Arabs, Asians, midgets, humpbacks, anybody else. Just strictly be for your own people. Okay? Racism is a team sport. You either play as a team or you lose by default.
I know that's right. Powerful message. Hold on. I'm sorry. So that was one. I want to show another one that he's talking on racism and the true meaning and why people don't.
I go around the world and I ask blacks in various countries. I say, two people stand up any place in the room. I'll give you $1,000 if you can tell me what racism is. I've never ever had one that knew what racism was. Never had one. I said, what is racism? He said, well, it's bigotry. It's hatred. It's not getting along with people. It's bias. It's discrimination. All that wrong. Racism has nothing to do with getting along with people and liking people. Racism is a competitive relationship between groups of people who are competing for the ownership and control of resources, wealth, and power. That's what racism is. Racism never existed on the earth until the 1500s, when all of a sudden 9 European nations decided to use black labor, black bodies, and black wealth out of Africa to get in a race. After Columbus had discovered America, supposedly, in quotes, in 1495, all of a sudden they're going to rush to redevelop the Western world. So all these countries were in a race, a contest, competing to see who can develop North America, Central America, and Latin America. It was a race. It was a race, and everybody was in the race but black folk. Black folk never participated in the race. You were the prize, the loot that they used to empower themselves. See, they were buying blacks in Africa on a typical for $15 to $20 a piece. They established a thing called a profit margin, 15% return on investment, 1,500% return. So they're selling for $400, $500. They got into the United States and to other countries. And that's why the whole banking system started off of slavery in Portugal. Again, and the whole system of capitalism started off of black slavery. Before that was mercantilism. The whole concept that you all are playing in with promotions and what's called marketing development came out of black slavery. It was designed not for you to profit, but for others to profit. officially accept you, and it has not changed. And so when I look at your program, it says that you're marketing developers. Marketing developers. I would say marketing means going into any environment, a site, a geographical area, and promoting a product or service or good to get an equal value for it. You're marketing. But it also stipulates in there that to be a marketer, you must have a market. So I ask black folk, where are your markets? Where are your markets? Where is the black market? And they said, well, Dr. we got a black market. Where is it? They said, well, it's all over the United States. And that's how much you get. We got a $650 billion black market. And that's a lot of money. Wrong, it's not. It is not a lot of money. It's only a lot of money when it's aggregated. Scattered through the integration process, your money is nothing. It is chump change. Because we don't plan to have power. That's why we continue to integrate, scatter our money. And then brag about how much money we got. And then we come up with magazines and research to tell everybody where to go get our money and how to get it. Nobody else is that foolish but us. You got to have a license to be that stupid to do those kind of games. You don't tell people how to come into your market and how to sell to your people and take your money and your economy out. That's called a capital drain. When I was Assistant Secretary of Commerce, I took trade missions around the world. Nobody would allow that to happen in their country. We would not let the Japanese come over here and do dumpings, dump their automobiles in Norfolk and in Jacksonville, Florida. That's called dumping, which means you come over and take the wealth out of our nation, doesn't take anything back to Japan. When they come over and dump their steel from Korea, we had a balance of trade policy, so you can't do this. Everybody has a balance of trade policy except black folk. We'll let anybody come in and do anything to us because we haven't changed since slavery. We still don't understand the process. Every day, Burger Kings and McDonald's trucks will come into a black neighborhood and dump hamburgers and Coca-Cola and take nothing out. That's a balance of trade deficit. This country right now is suffering from a balanced trade because we've allowed it to happen since Bush has been in office. And that's why you cannot profit in the society because you got a capital drain. Nobody's ever taught black folk how to practice group economics. Your money is supposed to stay in your own country or in your own community with your own hands and your own people advanced at least 8 to 12 times. But we are the only people that absolutely refuse to do it. We won't do it. As a matter of fact, we are against spending money with our own people.
Man, listen. This is why I got so much respect for Dr. Claude Anderson, man, because it take a lot. It take a whole lot of stress and it take a lot of mind power to have to deal with people who you know aren't listening to you. You feel what I'm saying? It's like he's been speaking on this forever. Look how old he is right here. I think he's 87 today. Again, shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. Happy birthday, family. We definitely appreciate all you do for the community. Excuse me. Let me, it was one more I was looking for. I'm sorry for you.
To be perfectly honest, even though I got enough degrees in human behavior and dynamics and sociology, I don't even understand that thrust. Because the integration itself is countermanding any possibility of you ever acquiring power and wealth. You cannot empower yourself at the same time you integrate. Integration, Paul, means disintegration. It means reducing yourself to a micro speck. Because in a society where the majority will win and rule and the minority will lose and suffer, why would anybody want to integrate? Integration is making black folk a guest. Integration means I will make you a guest. I will make you a guest in something that's owned and controlled by other people. I'll make you a guest in white suburbs, in white schools, in white businesses, in white organizations, in a white government. See, the black folk can never acquire wealth and power as long as they're integrating. And what's going to happen, though, with this whole concept of integration is going to hold blacks in abeyance until these other groups, competing groups, come in and wipe them out and push them into a subclass structure. Now, you mentioned the busings, for instance. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen happen. See, my family, as an example, was a part of the family that owned the only black bus line that you've ever had in America. The only black chartered bus line just service the black neighborhoods. They service the black neighborhoods and the white neighborhoods. Period. We put the white bus company out of business there. I mean, that was a Duke Power Company. Duke Power Company, named just like Duke University and Duke Electric Company. We put them out of business because we ran a very competitive bus line. Now, our bus line was vertically integrated for black folk, which gave us a power base, a wealth base, an employment base. We had our own people. We bought our own buses, repaired our own buses, operated our own buses, had our own drivers, our own mechanics, and we serviced both neighborhoods. But what put us out of business was not our inability for us to compete. It was a fact that blacks decided to integrate down in Montgomery. And when Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks integrated the buses there, rather than going in and buying the bus line from the whites and taking it over and operating it under black control, they decided that it was much better in the context of integration, which was social. Let's just socialize with whites. If whites are sitting on the front of the bus, we sit on the back, let's move up front with them and let's integrate with them. Let's intermix and make it a social issue. And so black folk then moved from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. Like, who really cares?
There is a growing number.
But let me finish the point now. Here's what happened now. When that movement moved up to North Carolina, and came to North Carolina, the blacks in North Carolina said, we also want to sit on the front of the bus. And in North Carolina, we said, well, we don't have any white buses you can sit on the front of the white bus. They said, well, why don't you all get some white buses we can sit on the front of? So our bus company went out of business. So then they brought in white buses. Now whites run the bus line. And the same thing happened to our black cab companies and our black movie theaters and our black restaurants. Everything black went out of existence because black folks see integration as being a social issue and somehow they feel if they get closer to the white society, they're elevating their status, and they're not. They're disintegrating.
Man, listen, man. I'm trying to tell you, this dude is so powerful, man. His messages be so powerful. And
to be perfectly honest, even though I got enough degrees in it,
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Because I listen to Dr. Claude Anderson a whole lot. And I'm not saying that he don't like Martin Luther King. But boy, he definitely be saying a lot about that civil rights era, because he was there. He was there. So he be having a lot to say about that civil rights era. But let me play this one.
Fought forever. Liberal white folk have thought that integration is the way to go. Oh, sure. If I was white too, because I really got you boxed in now. See, because that public policy, look back at public policy again, at the turn of the century, that public policy was picked up by our organization, the NAACP and Urban League. They saw it and they said, now we're going to come into existence to try to help black folk. What can we do? They were only permitted to help black folk in the context of the public policy. The public policy said black should be a managed labor force. So the precepts of the Urban League and the NAACP was to help black folks find equal employment opportunity. See what I'm saying? And by the mid-1920s, Garvey and somebody said, hey, hold a second, how about some economic? And they said, no, that's out. And so we can never move blacks into starting their own businesses as a national public policy. So in the mid-1900s,
law stipulated that blacks cannot have businesses compete with whites. They couldn't do anything that would bring profitability to blacks and take it away from whites.
They utilize legal and extra legal means to keep blacks out. In many cases where blacks, they say nobody in this country is more qualified business raising tobacco, raising cotton than black folk, okay? And taking care of livestock. In many instances, they would even poison the blacks' livestock. They would burn his cotton, burn his wheat. So blacks, that's why if you look in the back of the book, you see all kind of laws that says blacks should not compete with blacks in all, compete with whites in a whole number of things. But by the mid-60s, what happened in the middle of the civil rights movement there was that, contrary to what's popularly taught, black folk didn't get free in the mid-60s. What happened at that point in time was that that technology finally caught up with that labor need for blacks. And for the first time, the public policy said, hey, we no longer need blacks to open doors, shine shoes, and wash dishes, mop floors. We got technology that can do it. And when that happened, something very profound happened again to the public policy. And what they had to do then was say, the white society said, aha, now we got to change this public policy. So what they said is that now that we no longer need blacks, what we have to do is go into a new period called benign neglect, okay, or callous indifference, right, or out of sight, out of mind. So then they said, so Monahan came up with a policy by the late 60s saying, or early 70s saying, it's time for us to move from focusing on black folk to focus on Indians, Hispanics, and women. But they also said what we must do in our new public policy is, first of all, make sure that all of our public policies at every level express no guilt for what has happened to black folk. Point one is critically important. Point two is that we show no responsibility or obligation to help blacks in any manner. Okay? Which means affirmative action and everything else. Point three is to make sure nothing is done to transfer that wealth. I told you that 100% wealth on one side sheep over to blacks, that never occurs. Right. And that has what we've been locked into from the mid-60s up to today.
Man, I swear to God that I wish that I had a sound effect thing, but Fan be dropping bombs.
Fought forever.
Fan be dropping bombs. Like straight bombs, fam. Hold on. Let me see if I can get. Let's see if I can get us another one. Let me do this one because I actually like this one.
Over the only non-immigrants in this country. I know people always say, well, Indians are immigrants. Indians were the original people. No, they were not. The original people in this country were black folk. The Folsom people came to this country about 16,000 years ago. The so-called American Indians are Asians that came across the Bering Straits about 6,000 years ago. But in every one of those treaties that they set up with the Indians, they put an inclusion in there saying this, that if you were to cooperate with us and be able to help us maintain the slavery system we set up in this country, and we will reward you and compensate you. We'll give you clothing, we'll give you food, we'll give you weapons, and we'll even call you civilized if you help us maintain slavery. Every treaty contained a clause to help Indians to shut down black folk. Slavery could never have existed in this country and been maintained without the full participation of the American tribes. Now, every year, in the White House, we get about 567 white Indian chiefs, which in history they call $5 Indians, because 90% of the people call themselves Indians nowadays are not really Indians. Those are whites passing as Indians because they paid $5 to the Dawes Commission to get their name on the Dawes rolls and get all these advantages.
This is in such contrast to what many of you were probably raised on to believe that, oh yeah, the Native Americans, they're going through what you go through, and their plight is like your plight, they're your allies and all this. But I'm going to tell you this, if you look at the history, those actions have been nothing short of despicable. Absolutely despicable. I think that we need to wipe the slate clean in terms of doing research on who our friends are and who our enemies are, because a lot of people that you think are your friends really ain't your friends.
Edutainment.
99% of all the black people in America are the direct descendants of slaves, which means they were here before 99% of all the other people arrived. All these people are coming to this country boasting about, my family came from Germany, my parents came from Ireland, my parents came from Greece or Italy. They came here for a specific reason, to get benefits. They get unearned benefits, to profit and enjoy the fruits of black folks' labor and the Indian land. They've already gotten theirs. And now what they're saying is that now that we've gotten everything, we got control of it, we got it free and passed it for next generation, we're not going to let you have anything. And see, that's grossly unfair and it's immoral. And the worst thing that our society is doing, and they should cease in doing it, is they start equating black folk to all these fabricated groups, like minorities and poor folk, and people of color, and Asians and Hispanics coming into the country. These people coming to this country today get unearned benefits to enjoy the fruits of black folks' labor. Nobody shut them down. The Chinese started pouring into California after the Civil War to get benefits. And Mexicans, there were no, in the Civil War, you had about 6,000 Hispanics in the United States. And now you got about almost 50-something million. They came here looking for benefits.
I heard Jesse Jackson say one day that, all other groups came here seeking a thrill.
That's why they came.
Black folks came here, obviously.
That's right.
Against their will.
See, as if black folk are the only non-immigrants, our country is structured on immigrant rights to give them benefits. Black folk are the only non-immigrants in this country. I know people always say, well, Indians are immigrants. Indians were the original people. No, they were not. The original people in this country were black folk. The Folsom people came to this country about 16,000 years ago. The so-called American Indians are Asians that came across the Bering Straits about 6,000 years ago. So what I'm saying is that everybody comes to this country to get benefits except black folk. Nobody wants to stick up for and fight for black folk and say you cannot solve the racial problem in this country unless you create a circumstance where black folk can acquire the wealth, power, decent communities, functional schools, and be able to take care of their own people, be self-supported and competitive and independent.
The civil rights movement in itself is in large part for Barack Obama sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue today. Do you discount the importance of him sitting, or is it as in?
Telling you, he do not like that civil rights stuff, boy. I'm telling you, he do not like that. But it was basically enough to work. And shout out, to Martin Luther King, what he, was trying to do for the people. Because, some of us was trying to do what, what we thought was good at the time. And a lot of people didn't have all the same information. It ain't like they had, the internet where they can see. You know how many scholars I can literally look at and listen to right now? Like they didn't have that option. Like if they didn't, wasn't in that town and the person wasn't having a lecture or whatever. Like they just didn't get that information. See, nowadays, as we doing right now, as I'm putting this up right now and playing Dr. Claude Anderson, on my YouTube channel, somebody who never even heard of Dr. Anderson might click onto my channel and now hear what Dr. Anderson has to say, even though they never met him, like myself. Like I've never met Dr. Claude Anderson, but due to social media, I can have a plethora of people that I can listen to. So again, a lot of people back then didn't have the means to get all this information. And the brother is definitely a scholar, bro.
What, as proponents would say, it is that he sits there in the White House. Oh yeah, it's most definitely important in a social context and in a symbolic concept. Very important because, and unfortunately, that's what Black folk have been fed for 150 years. It's symbolic achievements, it's symbolic success. Well, you got a Black president, you got Martin Luther King Boulevard, you got Rosa Parks Boulevard, but you didn't touch the structural issue. You did not go back and redistribute some of the resources back into the hands of Black folks so they can be a competitive group and a self-sufficient, independent group in America. I mean, what are the benefits, direct benefits, do Black get from having, in terms of rectifying the structural problems, by having Obama in the White House, by having we got 4 or 5 Black billionaires like Oprah, Tiger Woods? How does that translate over to Black people? If Oprah and Tiger Woods lost all that money tomorrow, how does that disadvantage Black folk? It doesn't hurt Black folk one way or the other, because there's no connection between Oprah and Tiger Woods being billionaires and helping all these poor Black folk, when 38% of all the Black people in America are in the poverty level. Having Obama in the White House, how does that translate to benefits for Black folk? You write down on a piece of paper, on one side of the paper, all the symbolic issues, and write down how Black folk have been benefited. Write down right now what direct, specific, sole benefits have gone to Black folk by putting Obama in the White House. So that's important.
You mentioned the word redistribute the wealth.
Right.
And we have a clip, I think we are showing, we have here about you speaking to the issue and on the issue of reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Because to some extent, when you say redistribute the wealth, that I
Favorite
think
topic.
incorporates some form of
Reparations.
some form of reparations. So we're going to show that clip and we'll discuss it.
You're gonna have all kind of Black folk in this country gonna be opposed to reparations for you. They're gonna be jumping out. They're gonna be jumping out of the woodwork. They're gonna be jumping out of the woodwork because they're scared to death. They're just as scared now as they were in 1860. They're gonna say we don't have anything, but we ask for something, they'll take away what we got, and we don't have anything, but they'll take nothing away from us. And so you're going to have that group that's always scared, and they're always going to say it's better for us to have nothing than you try to get something, because that way they'll take us back to nothing with where we are already.
John Kanye's
I don't want to play this whole thing because I'm about to let y'all go because I got some things to do. But for the most part, I did want to. So that was the brother, Dr. Claude Anderson. Yes. So happy birthday to that, bro. I believe he's 87 today, and he brought us a lot of he brought us a lot of material and scholarship that we can use. And Powernomics is probably one of the best. What's the word I'm looking for? Probably one of the best things that the Black community can use that we can implement in society right now and thrive off of. Like he said, economics, politics, police and the courts. I forgot what the fourth one was. Education. I know education was the last one. Media. Yeah, I'm sorry. Media was number 4, and then education. So again, man, Powernomics is definitely a powerful book, and I recommend that anybody get that. Matter of fact, let me share my screen. I'm about to show y'all something. is what we went to. This is what I went to on. I had the police looking this up for me. This is what we got. See, at this library pack, we didn't get that. We didn't get that. It was, what did we get? Products. DVD pack. That's what we got. Yep. DVD pack. I think we got this one. We got the one at the time, this joint was $150. But yep, we got this, a 3 DVD pack where he talked about 1866 treaty, exceptionalism, Wake Up America, and this DVD right here. Yep. It didn't come with no books at the time. I believe it just came with the DVDs and stuff. But yep, that's exactly what we got. We got a political course. I didn't know that. Yeah, man. So that's what I had got when I started that African American program. They was like, whoa, ho, 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 ho. Like, hold it up. We don't know if we're gonna let y'all all sit in the room and watch this all the time every Wednesday, because we have meetings on Wednesday. You know, and we would let anybody who had any type of good information come up there and one second. And come up there and, and give up whatever they was trying to give up. Hold on, I'm so sorry. Pardon me. And yeah, so we would let anybody just come up there and do what they do, give they spill, teach whatever they teach. I was giving up some economic information. I had a brother that was into selling cars. Somebody else was into computer programming or whatever. He would teach what he could teach without busting down the computer for us or whatever like that. So we just had, man, that shit used to be lit. And I remember soon as things was about to get popping, I was about to get all the we was about to buy all the Tariq Nasheed Hidden Color series. Man, we was about to get it popping, man. They shipped me smooth on out. They was like, man, get this dude out of here, man. He trying to militarize these niggas. But yeah, so shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. I'm about to let y'all go, and Peace, family. If you new to the channel, please subscribe. If you please hit the like button, hit that share button. I want to thank all of y'all for coming here and giving me your time, and thank you for supporting the channel. Appreciate it, man. I done got to 100 subscribers now, so we trying to get that up. Trying to get to that 1,000, man. We trying to get to that 1,000. So tell your peoples to subscribe, man. Listen, bro, I'm trying to give up that goal. We got this. I'm working on this book. Working on a couple things, working on these. I can actually show you a little piece. Hold on one second. We working on the class. I'm working on the class right now, so I can throw up there on Teachables. But yeah. Right now, we got things in the making, man. We got things in the making. About to do a selling call options class. I'm trying to get all that done and finish my PowerPoints and record the videos so I can teach the class and teach y'all how to sell call options and make weekly income selling call options. So thank y'all. I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Y'all have a blessed day. Again, shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. Make sure you support Dr. Claude Anderson. Make sure you get his books for your kids, for your family members. Make sure y'all watch his videos. If you don't have the money right now to get his books and stuff, just make sure you watch his videos and show your kids his videos. I used to I definitely be letting my kids watch him because, again, man, he's a powerful brother. He's changing minds. All right, family. Y'all be easy, be safe, man. Have a blessed day.